everyone, Lynn Swanson here, veterinarian and volunteer with GiveSmiles.us, a not-for-profit shelter project with the mission of helping dog lovers go well beyond loving their dogs, to really understand them in ways that are positive, practical, and proactive. This video, introducing dogs to one another, is one of several videos we've created to help. So, does the thought of introducing your dog to other dogs concern you? Are you concerned he might be one of those dogs who will never get along with other dogs? Does he become a decision maker when another dog, or a person, or strange object, or animal comes into sight, relegating you to the status of a boat anchor? Perhaps you're pretty good at introducing most dogs, but there are a few that you're just not sure of. Maybe small dogs put you at ease, but larger dogs send you scurrying in the opposite direction. Would it help to know that we've used the approach I'm about to describe with over 1,000 dogs of all sizes, breeds, and ages, and it worked perfectly with 99.9% of them? Really? One German Shepherd messed up our 100% record, but truth be told, interdog issues were the least of his problems. Poor guy. The whens, wheres, hows, and whos of what we do are pretty straightforward and quite simple. Of most importance is why it works so well. So let me start with 8 good reasons that reflect 8 basic canine truths. The first basic truth is, like us, our dogs like to be around relaxed individuals. Truth 2 is dogs do their best when they're following good decision makers. When you're a dog, it is always less stressful to be the follower of a good decision maker than it is to be the number one decision maker. Truth 3 isn't high-level physics either. Simply put, dogs like and they need to move. While our species is quick to stand still, deep in conversation, or hovering over our technology, the nature of a dog couldn't be more different. Dogs communicate with each other via posture, position, movement, and energy. And, this is important, they interpret our posture, choice of positions, use of movement or lack thereof, and energy, both in quantity and quality, in the context of their species, and not ours. I could discuss this topic for many hours, and I have, at shelter, veterinary, and daycare conferences around the country. More information about it can be found in the reference that I mentioned at the end of this video. Truth 5. Dogs have very different social rules than we do, and they follow unique social cues all their own. Let me expand upon that a little. Our species is a very face-to-face species. When we meet someone for the first time, we stop. We tend to look into each other's eyes. We reach out a limb, and we are vocal. Hi, how are you? I'm Lynn. Dogs, on the other hand, are more of a nose-to-butt species. Polite dogs lead with low noses, and they quickly move to each other's side and back end. Reaching out a limb, encouraging direct eye contact, or vocalizing the way us humans do could be seen as posing a challenge. Ever see an adult dog reprimand a puppy who is licking, whining, or pawing at his face? He's telling the youngster, "Be polite. Move to my back end with a low nose before exploring a lot of my front end." Don't ever correct an adult dog for doing this. He's right in this case, and he means no harm. The big picture is, every species has its own social cues and customs, and the more we read up and learn about them and honor them when we work with that species, the better we'll be accepted by that species, and the easier it will be to lead them to behavior that we want to see. Speaking of pictures, basic truth number 6 is because dogs are so good at reading the energy around them, they often know the picture in our mind even better than we do ourselves. When meeting dogs for the first time or introducing them to each other, this truth is pretty important, and it brings me to the next one. It's dogs pull away from tension, both mental and physical. Ever notice how dogs tend to pull back when you pull them forward? Ever notice how they tend to pull forward when you pull them back? It's a reflex that I discuss in the video, 12 Common Mistakes People Make with Their Dogs and How Easy It Is to Avoid Them. Dogs pull away from tension. That is why so many dogs and people experience trouble when extendable leashes are used. Leashes like this, that provide near constant tension and no soft, easily adjusted connection, are the worst kind to use when introducing dogs to each other. They change the posture of an otherwise sweet-natured dog into one of a charging bull. For the sake of all of the dogs your dog is going to meet, please don't make this mistake. The last super practical truth is, dogs like being members of a team, a family, a pack. When dogs walk or stand side by side, the psychology is a lot like a school of fish, a football team, or a family. There's a spirit of unity, of security, of togetherness, and of us and them identities. All 8 of these truths can be capitalized upon to bring out any dog's and any handler's best, and that is what our approach to introducing dogs does. Notice how answering our whys also answered our whos and even some of our hows. The whens and the wheres are simple. They're wherever and whenever the opportunity to introduce dogs occurs. Let's talk some more about the hows, beginning with what we do before we bring 2 dogs together. As mentioned in my 12 Common Mistakes video, a policy that's important at our facility is before we expect a dog to meet our needs, we need to meet his needs first. To do so any other way would only set the dog and us up for failure. It wouldn't set either of us up to succeed. So before you introduce your dog to others, my recommendation is to do 3 things. First, take him to a quiet, out-of-the-way spot to eliminate. Simply put, he'll feel better afterwards. Second, if he's full of excess energy, exercise both his body and his canine brain a bit to relax him and earn his focus. The more relaxed and in tune with you he is, the better the next steps are going to go. If this takes a little extra time, take it. The alternative is to waste time addressing issues that wouldn't have occurred if you spent a little more time up front setting your dog and yourself up for success. Remember, dogs like being around relaxed individuals. Just because they respond to excitement doesn't mean they prefer it. And third, before either dog sees the other, have both dogs walking well at their handler's side. Why is this so important? Because you want both dogs to form certain associations right from the start. The people involved are capable decision makers. Every dog's job is to be a happy follower. Other dogs, be they large or small, old or young, smooth-coated or hairy, are potential walking partners. Yay! The energy level required right now is calm, and the state of mind required right now is relaxed. All of that said, the act of walking side by side as a team is a new concept to some. If you haven't had a lot of practice doing it, or if you're quick to doubt your abilities or that of your dog, here are several hints that are going to help. First, focus up and focus forward, not down at your dog. If you're always looking down at your dog, who is leading the way and who is following? That's right. Maintain a good working pace appropriate to your dog's size and strength. And for the purposes of my explanation, let's assume that I'm talking about able-bodied dogs that like to walk. I'll mention what I do with older, less able dogs and very young pups in a little bit. Don't be overly concerned about tripping over your dog. If your leash isn't too long and you're looking up and moving in a confident and directive manner, it's much less likely your dog will step in front of you. Dogs take the lead when they doubt their handler's capabilities, not when they read their handler as confident and capable. Envision yourself and your dog at your best. If your dog starts to bounce around, despite having had lots of exercise to drain his energy reserves, simply maintain your pace and forward focus, and keep a positive picture in your mind. Sooner or later, he'll start to reflect that positive picture. Really. In this way, frustration and tension, however justified, will always work against you, but a calm forward focus will lead you and your dog to your collective best. Hold your leash, shorten to 2 to 4 feet, depending upon the size of your dog, comfortably but secure, similar to the way you would a gym bag. Don't grasp it like it's going to run away from you, and for heaven's sakes, don't use a retractable leash. The more tension in your shoulders, arms, hands, and leash, the more tension becomes a message you're sending to the dogs, and the more your dog will pull away from you and inappropriately toward others. Remember, dogs pull away from tension. Excellent. You're now ready to introduce your dog to others in a way that further sets him up for success. Imagine that you and your dog are approaching another handler and her dog. What should you do? In a relaxed and matter-of-fact manner, turn 180 degrees so that you and your dog are moving in the same direction as the other team. Then, over your shoulder, invite them to pair up with you for a 5-minute airplane wing-oriented walk next to you in this orientation. Dog, person, person, dog. Leave as much space between the people as makes you comfortable. In cases where the other team is walking well together, I leave 3 to 4 feet. In cases where the other team isn't walking together as well as they could, I've left 10 to 12 feet where the road allowed for it. The distance between you isn't as important as true horizontal orientation is. This kind of orientation gives the dogs a common direction and a common enjoyable activity. Without a word spoken, it puts them on the same team. Yay! Is it time to stop yet? Not yet. Although stopping and reorienting yourself face to face would be also human to do, know that dogs more readily use movement, and not a lack thereof, to progress both socially and psychologically. So keep everyone moving. Dog, person, person, dog, as you engage the other person in relaxed conversation. Should the dogs pull to sniff at each other, something inexperienced dogs often do, simply continue walking. This sends the clear message that their job is to walk right now, as opposed to jump around. And it's perfectly fine to offer a polite sniff from a polite distance, as opposed to get up in everyone else's business right away. Once the dogs ignore each other in a relaxed manner, move one of them so your orientation becomes dog, person, dog, person. And once everyone has been walking like this in a relaxed manner and on loose leashes for a few minutes, feel free to stop so the dogs can introduce themselves in a peaceful nose-to-butt manner on completely loose leashes, looser than you see in this picture. That finished, feel free to continue your walk together. Person, dog, dog, person, to reinforce that everyone is on the same team. I love win-win-win-win situations where everyone is set up for success, and this simple walking routine does that. It puts every dog at ease and in the right frame of mind for introductions. Using canine intuitive as opposed to human intuitive positioning and movement, and with very few words spoken, it shows our dogs what we want them to do so they can do their best. It also gives dogs a little focused exercise, something any dog needs to do his best. And it could be done by people using wheelchairs and assistance vehicles, something I've had to do myself a few times. Walking side by side creates and solidifies bonds, even between different species. I've done it with goats, cows, horses, llamas, little kids, cats and ducks in strollers, and even skateboarders along the boardwalk at Venice Beach. I also take this approach when introducing new people to dogs, especially if either is of a fearful nature. A tool that is handy when one or more handlers isn't a strong walker is an adult trike with a basket on the back. Another that I reach for if one of the dogs is very young or much older or infirmed is a pet stroller. I don't use strollers with pipsqueaks like the one modeling this stroller, however. That young man can and should walk perfectly well on his own. Let me finish with a few words about reactive dogs. Reactive dogs take the social cues of their species seriously. That is, they become reactive when positioned face-to-face with individuals and objects where they wouldn't get reactive if immediately positioned and walked alongside the same individuals and objects. Put them on the other end of a leash of an unsure handler who stands in place, getting tense and frustrated, and both the dog and the handler are set up for failure. Please, please, please get these dogs moving at the side of whatever got them in a tizzy in the first place. If you remain cool, calm, and confidently directive, chances are good that they'll relax a lot faster than you expect. Learning about canine culture, canine social cues, and why one thing works well while another doesn't is a lot like learning any other culture or language. Becoming proficient takes practice. And the more you practice, and the more you're willing to see a few things through the eyes of your dogs, the better your instincts and actions will become. If you found this video helpful, please pay it forward and tell others about it. And if you'd like to learn a lot more about your dogs, all pretty positive, practical, and proactive stuff, check out the first 2 chapters, table of contents, and chapter excerpts of this book at givesmiles.us. All funds raised by its purchase help with animal rescue and pet parenting projects. Thanks!